we got Mecole Hardman last week, and there's some stuff that kind of getting out there as far as guys in the trading block. And I know some people just are done with hearing trades and stuff. But Treylon Burks, you commented on Twitter yesterday, but Treylon Burks is a guy that apparently Tennessee's fielding calls over right now. Yeah. There's some other guys, Hollywood Browns being talked about. But Treylon Burks is an interesting one because if you look at Brett Veach's history, he loves getting these first-round projects and kind of maybe guys that may not be gems for some, but diamond in the rough, he can find them, maybe take them and kind of cater them, and maybe they can be the guy that we thought they were going to be. I remember last year we were kind of questioning on, should we draft him in the first round? You weren't a big fan of him kind of fitting with Kansas City back then, but now we're talking if he can be had for like a 4th or 5th round pick. Would you be interested in a Treylon Burks? There's also guys like Hollywood Browns out there, but he's scheduled to make $13 million this year. So like maybe if Arizona fits the bill on that, then we'd gladly take him. But I think Treylon Burks would be a guy we could probably get for a 5th or 4th round pick. I mean, obviously I don't know what they're asking for, but what do you make of Treylon Burks in our offense and how would he fit?
Man, to be honest with you, and I said this, my opinion of him has not changed since last year. I mean, he's a big receiver. We know he's got big hands. That was his whole thing, his gimmick coming in. He could stretch the defense, but as far as what we do scheme-wise, I just don't think he fits in our offense. And so when we're talking about skill set, we know he's a big receiver that can body things up. But our offense, and I've said this for the past few years, and I'm like, this offense is geared more for smaller, quicker receivers. It just is. And so you got to find yourself getting open in zone. You got to find yourself getting open in man. We're not going to throw the big, the jump ball up to a big receiver. We just don't have that. And so when you start looking over the years, we don't see a guy who's 6'3", kind of doing those things here with the Chiefs, 6'4", unless your name is Travis Kelce. So Treylon Burks, man, not to mention, man, he's a project. We got enough project guys here. Okay. We got enough guys on potential. And potential is what they say. Potential is, kind of success not earned. That's what it is. That's what potential is. It's success not earned. And so he's a project guy, man. He's a guy that you're going to put a lot of time in to try to get him to fit into this system, which I don't believe that he is not geared for. But also too, man, he's had injuries. We got guys here who's got injuries history. So it would be more of the same. And it would just be a bigger headache to bring a guy like that in. Now, you talked about Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown makes a little bit more sense. It does. Like you said, if they decide to eat a little bit more on that end, that's one thing. Hollywood Brown is a guy that we know can definitely stretch the defense. He's a smaller guy that can get open, make guys miss. And so he makes a little bit more sense. I think he's somebody that could fit into this offense. I hear that he's a hard worker. I think they say he's very, very smart. Just kind of hearing from different circles about who he is. Say he's a good guy. So I think, and that's all too, I talked about culture-wise. Can a guy like that fit in here? And he probably could. Another name I brought up is Curtis Samuels. Curtis Samuels is another guy that I think that I really like. He's been in the system with Bieniemy. And I said that we need guys here that's kind of been in the system. So, okay, we look at the coaching tree of Andy Reid, right? So, you got Nagy, who's back here. You got Bieniemy, who's in Washington. Then you got Doug Peterson, who's down there in Jacksonville, right? And so when you talk about these guys, you will look for guys that's been in the same system, has kind of the same terminology, the same concepts of what they're talking about of doing. So those guys make a lot more sense because they can make a transition faster and easier. Curtis Samuels is a guy I think has a lot of tools. He'll do a lot of different things. I really like him. I know a lot of people ain't high on him. They haven't really talked about it. He's at the same price point like MVS is. I mean, that's where his contract is about the same. And so production-wise, because you have Terry McLaurin and you have Dotson out there, it's a little bit tougher. It's a little crowded in the room trying to get the ball because one football going around. Curtis Samuels is a guy that's got a lot of ability. He's been hurt in the past, but I see him kind of getting better, developing, right? It was like one of those injuries you see. He came back, but he's a very productive guy, very good receiver, strong hands, runs great routes. I like him a lot. I like his skill set a whole bunch. But yeah, man, when we talking about just different guys in the wide receiver position, those are some of the names I like. Treylon Burks is not one of them. He'd be on the bottom of my list, to be honest.
I've seen some people make the comparison of Burks' kind of body type. I mean, obviously, if you kind of put his measurables and everything he kind of did in college and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And also you could say that his play in the NFL may be kind of hindered by the offense that he's in. I mean, last year and this year, I mean, you got a combination of Ryan Tannehill, Malik Willis this year, Tannehill. He could be kind of limited by then also Hopkins' numbers have taken a hit also being in this offense this year with Tennessee. So, like, I mean, how much is it that the offense that he's in, as far as kind of his development, that's maybe hindering it, and you put him in an offense with Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Well, someone made a comparison of kind of saying he's a similar body type, kind of big body guy, like, you know, like he's like a Debo kind of guy, you know, like kind of build wise. Mm-hmm. Do you see him? Someone said he's kind of like maybe a little shorter version of a guy like Rashee Rice. Very similar. He's a guy who can get yak. I mean, he's the kind of guy who would kind of eat in the middle of the field with Rashee Rice and Kelsey. And I've seen people say like putting him in a team with those two could actually be a beneficial thing for him and us, just having another guy who can kind of eat up in the middle of the field.
I don't believe so. Like I said, he's going to be another project. To me, that just takes time. Is he not benefiting because of you got Ryan Tannehill, like you said, Malik Willis throwing the ball to him. But you know what I've seen in college, okay, and as far as like, does he fit? Like I said, still going back to the scheme that we do, he doesn't necessarily fit what we do, right? He doesn't. So we have a guy like Rashee Rice who can do that position. Let him get the balls. Trying to bring a Treylon Burks, and then usually what you do with offensive schemes, okay, most schemes that you do is you try to find the pieces that actually fit into what you're doing, okay? You don't, the schemes around like, okay, we got these guys, we're going to change up a whole scheme for these guys. That's not how it works. Just not how it works. It's almost like trying to put me in a Porsche, like one of the little bitty cars or one of those little clown cars. Everybody, when I see big guys drive around, I'm like, why are you in that little car like that? Okay, but we're not trying to, fit, offense into the guy. Okay, got to get the guy into the offense. But I just I'm really not a fan of Treylon Burks. I'm not. He's to me, when you brought him up, I was like, actually, I was like, heck no, not that joker. No, okay. And I look, he's a talented guy. He might be great for some teams, some different teams. I know there's a lot of schemes that he could play in that he will be successful. Okay. Definitely with a much better, more competent quarterback. Okay, I'm not a Tannehill fan at all. I would have rather had the other guy on the opposite end of it with DeAndre Hopkins trying to get him there, right? Yeah. But he wanted the bag. I get it. He wanted the bag. It's okay. I ain't got no problem with that. DeAndre Hopkins though could have definitely helped us out. He's a guy who would have been able to fit into any scheme that you get him in, right? So I heard it was, a lot of things that I don't know. I don't know how true it is. Okay. I heard this. Okay. I'm not saying it's true. I'm not going to say it's from a Chief inside guy, but I heard that the Chiefs almost had the deal done. Like it was this close. Yeah. And I think maybe the deciding factor, this is just me talking. This is gossip right now. Okay. So don't take this as word, as gospel. But part of the problem was, he didn't want to practice. I find that hard to believe. He didn't want to practice like 3 days out of the week.
Interesting.
I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know. I don't believe that. That's just me running my mouth right now. So
I read similar that the deal was close to being done, but then the OBJ contract came, and then he scrapped the deal that he had with Kansas City, and he was like, "No, like I want more close to that territory." And that's when Veach was like, "Nah, we're not doing that."
Nah, man. I think. Well, I don't know. Like I said, these things are reports, so I'm not really sure. So that probably had something to do with it. But I think also, too, because he realized that this is a championship team, he could take less to win a championship. He's got plenty of money. He's got plenty of bread. He's earned all of that. So I don't know, man. Like I said, it's fitting to the culture. He's a great guy. I know he mentors young dudes. But if he told me, like, hey, man, I if you could cut me down to practicing a couple of times a week, coach, I'm like, I got you. Don't worry about it. Come out here for one-on-ones, dress up. You need to establish something for the young guys. So, but enough about him. We talk about Treylon Burks. My thing is, we're talking about wide receivers that would fit into this scheme. Burks just doesn't do it for me. He just doesn't.
So you're more in the Hollywood Brown and Curtis Samuel camp.
Hollywood Brown, yes. Curtis Samuels, somebody that is like I said, a smaller receiver that still, got some good size to him. May not cost a whole lot. There's no reason that you should just sell the farm for a guy.
Yeah,
I don't believe that. We never done that. Heck, we wanted to do that. We had a guy that went down South Beach.
Yep,
we'll do that thing, right? So, yeah, I don't believe that. And here's the thing, though, because everybody keeps talking about the wide receiver, we have been winning. We're winning.
Yeah,
we're 6-1. When you start looking at the points and what they've been scoring and what they've been doing, you just got to give these guys time to put these things together, right? That's camp I'm in. I think Mecole Hardman was the key for us. I said that. I said we needed a guy that we're familiar with, that can make moves, who can do all the things we asked him to do, and he fits that bill. Somebody that we know. Mecole Hardman, to me, opens up this offense the way that we needed to. Like, Pat just needed another guy he needed to trust, okay, that other guys can learn a lot from. So it's one thing that you have, and I've said this, it's one thing to have a receiver that is a veteran. It's another thing for a guy to be in the system for a long time. Somebody that Pat could talk to the guys, receivers, they may still not get it. Now they talk to Mecole Hardman. Mecole was like, listen, this is what he's talking about. When we talk about running this route, you got to settle in this area right here, okay? That's what Pat's looking for. So it's different than actually having a guy in the room. So Mecole Hardman's been in this system 5 years, and he's just like, this is how everything works. This is what we're doing right here, right? Yeah. And so to me, that gives you a wealth of knowledge, ingenuity, as far as like changing things up, being creative when you're out there running. So now you got a guy who understands the offense like Kelsey, right? Remember I told you this is a whole simulation of having, this PhD in football, what Kelsey has, and then you're dealing with guys who's just getting in college trying to figure out what class to go to. So now you got a guy who's been here, right? Who's been taking the classes, understands where to go, where all the classes are, what each professor is asking for you to do, okay? And he's helping them in that transition. So I know we keep going that back, talking about the number one wide receiver. Our offense is an offense that can make adjustments with the guys that we have. We have that. We got the number one quarterback, number one tight end, and we got some very capable wide receivers. When I look at it, Mecole Hardman, Kadarius Toney, okay, Sky Moore, the young buck Rashid Rice, okay, and MVS showed up last game. We can start get that production out of those 5 guys. I'm cool with it. I'm absolutely cool with it, and I can see where this wide receiver core can go. And I believe toward the end of the season, somewhere around week 12 to 14 or 15, we're going to see these guys come to fruition of being a much different group of guys than what we see right now. Yeah. It's almost like the same growth that we see in the maturity we watched the DBs grow last year, right? And all the woes. Why are we putting them out there? Oh my gosh, he's getting burned. What is Spags doing? Well, he's helping these young guys grow. That's what he's doing. He's getting these guys prepared. And the only way you're going to be able to get prepared is putting these guys in the fire. That's the only way you do it, right? And it is trial and error. It's a lot of failure that comes with that. The failure part is happening now, but they learn it from it. That's what you do with a brilliant coach and brilliant players is you learn how to work and learn from failure. That's how it goes, man. It's football.
Yeah. No, and I agree. I mean, I know the receiver thing's a big hot topic still because people still want a wide receiver one, and I think that we're going to hear about this stuff every off season, every year during the trade deadline. We're going to hear about possibly getting a wide receiver one. Not to say Treylon Burks is supposed to be a wide receiver one, but I know Veach likes finding deals, and if he can get a guy who was a first-round pick just a year ago for a fifth-round pick, he may jump on that regardless of fit and maybe trying to see if it can work out here just because we have Mahomes and Andy Reid. I don't know. But Yeah, I just think people have to kind of come to terms with we're not the traditional offense anymore. We have wide receiver one. It's going to be a bunch of guys doing a couple catches here, a couple catches there every week. There's never going to be one guy outside of Travis Kelce. So
yeah, and that's all right with me. You know why? Because we're still scoring points. We're still getting yards. We still have the best coach in the business as far as offensive mind. We still got the best quarterback and tight end. We got great running backs, okay, who are eating right now. So that adds up a whole different element to getting the wide receivers open, right, with Pacheco and those guys. Yeah. So I'm fine with that, man. I just, what works for some teams don't necessarily have to work for us, right? Yeah. Okay. And so I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that. I think a lot of the fans are too, man. Like when Mecole Hardman ran that punt back, like the elation going through the stadium, like being there, seeing it and hearing it. And I was just, every time he said his name on the loudspeaker, I'm like, oh man, this is beautiful. Welcome back. The kid is home. The kid is home. And it seemed right, and it is right. I love it. I love it.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.